Coffee, one of our favorite smells every morning, the second most traded commodity after oil. The drink over which we have had countless memories with friends, family and those special ones. As we celebrate the International Coffee Day on October 1st, we thought to welcome on board a guest and a brand which has managed to be an important part of the entire coffee culture in the country that has developed over the last decade or so. I'm talking about Matt Chitharanjan, the co-founder and CEO of Tokai Coffee Roasters. Matt, hi, good to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I would have loved to invite you, or you would have invited me for coffee, but here I'm sitting with my cup of Blue Tokai. Global players like Tim Horton, etc. coming to India, and of course the big one, Starbucks. But the local coffee roasters as well, right from a KC Roaster to a Sleepy Owl to a Slay Coffee to a Third Wave, etc. as well. How are you dealing with the competition and how big a threat it is?
Yeah, so actually the stage that the Indian market is at, I don't see a lot of direct competition between brands. Everybody has slightly different positioning, slightly different product mix, slightly different messaging for customers, and they're attracting a new customer base. And what that's doing is really growing the entire pie for everybody in the industry. There's many places where we operate, many brands are operating side by side. So for example, there would be us, a Third Wave, a Chios, a Starbucks, all within a single line. And actually all of our sales have increased as more brands have opened up. So I really see the entrance of these new companies as a positive for the industry rather than us competing with each other for business.
Sounds quite positive, but then tell me that, how fast is the industry growing? What's the growth rate, let's say, for the industry right now in terms of the cafe culture? For yourself as well, what has been the growth rate?
So I've read recently that the overall industry is growing at 15% a year, which is a very healthy number. And that's expected to grow at that rate for the next 5 years.
So that's good to know that there is a runway of growth available as well. But what's been your reading? Is the coffee culture only still limited to the metros of the country, or you're seeing that deepening into tier 2, tier 3 as well? And what are your own plans? Will you stick to the likes of Mumbai and Delhi and Bangalore of the world, or going into Nagpur, Kanpur, etc. as well?
So right now, our focus in the short term is to go deeper into our existing markets. We're primarily in the larger tier 1 metros, though we do also have a presence in places like Chandigarh, Pune, a small presence in Hyderabad. For the rest of this financial year, we'll be going deeper into those markets, but next financial year, we'll be looking to expand into other larger cities. That being said, there is tremendous opportunity for smaller players to enter into the tier 2 and tier 3 markets. It used to be that when you would go travel to those places, it'd be very hard to get a cup of coffee. Now, when I travel to those cities, there's at least 2, 3, 4, and in some cases, multiple cafes that are serving good quality coffee. So I think there's a tremendous opportunity for other brands, but for us, our focus is on the larger markets.
Continue to focus on the larger market, but give me the store count. What does it stand at right now? What's the target for the next, let's say, 12 months?
So right now, we're at 80 stores. We expect to close this financial year at 125. And then after that, we're looking at opening around 70 to 80 stores a year going forward.
Wow, 70 to 80 stores per year. That's quite a bit of runway that you're keeping for yourself. That means that the revenue growth for you has also been stellar, because I was reading one of your earlier conversations wherein you're talking about doubling your revenue. I'm guessing the run rate for this year would be what, 300 odd crores, and breaking even on profitability or even doing better?
Yeah, so we expect to close this financial year around 250 crores. And in the fourth quarter, we do expect to be turned profitable.
Okay, and you've been doing some round of fundraise as well. Of course, there was a round that happened in January, and the latest one happening wherein Deepika Padukone has also participated through her car enterprises. Talk to me about what kind of money you have raised, what kind of partnership this is, what kind of synergies you see.
So actually, though the announcement came late, the money from Deepika was part of the earlier round in January. And that was a 200 crore fundraise that we had done. It was a brand that she felt resonated with her, and we were very happy to have her come on board as a financial investor for us. I think it really speaks to the awareness that our brand and coffee in general has had to have her endorsement.
And is she going to be a brand ambassador as well? And what was the valuation at the time of the last fundraise?
No, it's a financial investment for her. We're not looking at a brand ambassadorship at this point in time, though we might explore that in the future.
Okay, Matt, so you're opening 70 to 80 stores per year going forward, and that would require a lot of capital. Do you have enough right now? When will be the next fundraise?
Yeah, so right now, because we're on the verge of being break even, we don't need any capital to sort of fund our sustainability. It's more that we're looking for growth capital. With the plans that we have, we're looking at somewhere between 12 to 18 months for our next fundraise.
Okay, so 12 to 18 months, you'll be back in the market because right now, as it is, it's going through a winter of sorts. But what about the IPO plans? That is something that you've spoken about, that you do have those plans. You see it happening over the next 2 to 3 years or a bit longer, 5 to 10 years?
I think 2 to 3 years is an aggressive time frame. We strongly feel that our business is very IPOable. There are very few strong consumer brands in India who are listed, and our brand and the potential of the coffee market, we feel that we'll be an ideal candidate. I think 3 to 5 years is a better time frame for us.
And you don't see yourself being as a takeover candidate for somebody or you taking over somebody else?
No, so we recently merged with a bakery company, which we feel we've been working with for a long time and is very complementary to our business. But for us as a takeover candidate, as I mentioned, we're looking more at the IPO.
Matt, what's the split for you right now in terms of how much of the revenue comes from the footfalls in the cafes versus the packaged products? Because recently I did see some Blue Tokai, counters in B2B and corporate offices as well. What's the split right now? What is the growth driver for you going forward?
Yeah, so for us as a brand, our vision is to become the go-to brand for anybody who's looking for a high-quality cup of coffee, no matter wherever, however people like to consume it. Right now, we see a lot of potential in the cafes, and 70% of our revenue is coming from the cafes. But at the same time, people in offices are really looking to upgrade their coffee experience. Now with offices almost fully open, people are kind of looking for something new from the old brands that they used to have. And we're seeing a lot of traction, and people are wanting to put our office solutions in to serve a good cup of coffee to their employees and their guests. So the B2B segment is around 15% of our business. And then obviously the direct-to-consumer has always been a focus from us for day one. And that's also 50% of our business.
Matt, can I put you on the spot and ask you some rapid-fire questions now?
Sure.
Okay, so coffee brewing, is it an art or a science?
It's a mix of both. Definitely art plus science.
Interesting. Pour over, French press, or cold brew, or something else completely? What's your favorite?
Pour over at home, always. Every day I have a pour over.
Pour over it is. Which city in the world you have experienced the best coffee culture in?
So I used to live in San Francisco, and I was there when sort of the specialty coffee was really taking off. So because of the origins and the connection to me, I feel like that's still one of the places that I really enjoy going for coffee culture.
What's the maximum you would ever spend on a cup of coffee?
Ooh, good question. I think maybe 400 rupees.
400 rupees, okay, that's still quite a bit when you go by the Indian standards. For an entry-level coffee drinker, what is the first equipment you should start with?
I think a great way to get into coffee is our single-serve easy pour sachets. They don't require any equipment. You just tear it open, put it over your cup, and pour hot water through it. That being said, if you don't want to do that, you can use a simple tea chunny at home. Simply get a coarse ground coffee powder, mix it with water, and then you can filter it through the tea chunny.